Hey guys, it's Josh with another one of Lux First Choice Cars. Today we have a 2023 Toyota 4Runner SR5. Yes, all red with black wheels. This is what the client loves, right? Of course, it has 4,596 miles on it. Very low miles for the year, by the way. 3 year old. 4,000 miles. This thing probably drove 1,500 to 13 to 17, 1,800 miles in a year, which generally sounds like they either won, they kept it in the garage, didn't drive it at all, or at the same time that either their job or whatever they were doing very close to where they live and didn't do much extracurricular activities, right? So just diving right in, it is a 2023 Toyota F4 SR5, just as stated, 4.06 cylinder. When you talk about Toyota, you talk about reliability, you talk about long term, you talk about rigidness, all of the above. Just looking at this vehicle all around, this thing is looking very nice. As you guys can see from the front end there to the side to the rear, overall very nice forerunner. Interior looks good. Undercarriage, no rust. Of course, you want to check that. You got some good keys there. Of course, we're gonna ask if we can get two. No check engine light, just a seat belt, nice infotainment center. Just the typical no sunroof, which this client, did not want any sunroof. These things do come in sunroof, some of them don't, which this is a plus. And they wanted no leather interior. So generally, the reason being is that, as you know, in the Caribbean, it can get very hot. So for them, they're thinking of like, hey, look, if it's going to be getting very hot, that leather seat definitely wouldn't work for them. Also, they, kind of have some elderly people with them that one of their grandmas with them that, it wouldn't work out, right? Yeah, so generally it is very clean. But, generally for us, of course, as always stated, it's not just about the pictures, it's about the process, it's about what we do in the back end and how, we make sure that you're getting a viable vehicle long term and not short term, right? Again, we don't want you calling Josh and Josh, I'm on the side of the road. We don't love it, we don't tolerate it, we don't want it, right? This thing is going over to the Caribbean, where there's, less accessibility for not saying that we don't have any good mechanics, but at the same time, you know what I mean. So just to start and dive right in, so we do have a CR on this, so it has five, which is the highest CR that you can get, condition report. And let's just dive into that. That's the first thing that we're gonna look at. We do have like a condition detail there. So just to scroll down a little bit here, we have one Una. Green light guaranteed. What's the one condition? Let's see here. Okay, so generally you just have a scratch there as it shows. Light scratch. Okay, and then let's just dive into our CR. Okay, so yeah, as mentioned, you have 5.0 on this nice forerunner that tells us is a very strong candidate, green light guaranteed. So basically, you have basically 7 days to return it if there's anything. However, we do run inspections on these things. So looking at this does have two plus keys. So front bumper has a light scratch on it. So generally, that's the only ping on this thing. No damages on the roof, interior cosmetic, nothing. So all of this looks good. Scan. No oil sludge. 100%. We don't want any white oil. if you open that cap and it's white right away automatically, right? So condition report definitely looks good. It's not bad at all. Let's just deep dive into Carfax. Okay, so we have one owner Carfax. Well, it says two previous owners, but sometimes what happens if a dealer gets a vehicle from the manufacturer and they actually sell it while on lot and take title of it, it registers it as a second owner, which generally you have one owner and then the actual buyer. So, in reality, you have one owner, but it shows two. Now, of course, this was no problem for this particular client, as their only big regards was the fact no sunroof, and then at the same time it's not leather interior, and that kind of eased off the fact for them, and also the miles. The miles was a huge factor. It's very low miles for the year. At of course the price tag. So let's just dive into Carfax here. So generally on the Carfax, again, what we really want to look at here is the history. What happened from the time of this thing was born to the time of where it's at now, right? From it was crawling to walking, right? So generally, we want to look at the timeline. We want to look at the miles, right? Timeline, miles, and also the type of maintenance that was done to it and where, right? So 5 miles, 2023, October the 4th. Basically, pre-inspection was done. Nothing to see there. Title per usual. That's standard. And as you can see, vehicle noted as red, registration. So this is the actual owner. And at the same time, you can see that it kind of didn't transition from a dealer to actual owner. It just basically, you can see dealer to dealer, right? So if you scroll down here and look from 2024, so August 2024. So January 21st, 2025, you would have reported, and then you have 3,000. Then you have this 7,000. Now, the problem with this too is that sometimes at the title clerk, they may input something incorrect into the system, which generally does this. Of course, some people sometimes like clients would come to us like, "Hey, this thing says 3,000 and this says 7,000." Yes, unfortunately, we're not completely AI yet, and we do have human error. So sometimes the title clerks can actually register it wrongly, and then it basically showcases the 7,500 compared to the 4,000. Not saying I'm still not questioning the 4,000, right? But at the same time, with 4,000 miles, 2023. Of course, if this thing had about 50,000, 40,000 miles, it would still be in regular in the space of where it should be, but at the same time, the fact with the lower miles, it actually contradicts the fact that there's not much history at all. Being to the fact that it hasn't even hit the 5,000 mark, that some people say, hey, servicing at this point, or hey, 10,000 servicing at that point, right? Now, another big question to us is, of course, with this, the client stated, we don't even have to inspect, but we still recommend it because the problem now is, you know, 4,000 miles, 2023, you know, when, it's 2026 now, but at the same time, even on the edge of that, why does it have so much, it doesn't have that much miles? And of course, in this case that you're looking at a third party seller, you're not actually meeting with the actual seller, the person who had the vehicle for years. Now, of course, sometimes if a client really really wants a vehicle and then something's going on with the inspection, we do have ways to actually try to find the seller. So therefore, we can ask them some pertinent question, and then we have some security of like, hey, this is what actually happened.